Question 1. In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Well, we started off with research, watching films, what kind of film we wanted to go into. So there's like psychological horrors, gore, so we watched like things like The Ring, which is psychological, has like demons and ghosts and stuff. And this proved most popular in my group. We also looked at things like Saw, which was psychological as well, but it was quite gory, and we didn't really want a lot of gore in our films, so we decided not to go down that route. So there's other films such as like Constantine and stuff that didn't really appeal to us because the style of the filming didn't really fit ours. They had things like strange effects and noises and angles, and it's a good film, but we didn't think that we would use that style. The characters in The Ring, so there's the girl who's possessed, and she stood out to us because she's quite creepy and like quiet, and the film itself is quite a quiet, creepy film. So we thought we'd focus and look at that and base our film around that. So we started looking at villains and victims, what we could use, who we could use, and also, like I said, like in The Ring, we liked the fact that the girl was the villain, and usually it's the man who's the villain, but it wasn't. So we wanted to use that and switch around a bit, and we made the male character the victim. When thinking of the storyline for a film, we found this quite difficult. We found it quite difficult to think of something that was original and like unique and interesting also, because it's all been done before. So I think that was quite difficult, but we managed to like come across a quite good storyline, and we're quite happy with it. So the locations for our film, it was quite easy because we knew we wanted to do it in a big house, so that we could create a sense of isolation. Just having one person and the demon or the ghost, whatever it was going to be in the house, would be quite good. And also houses are quite good because people can relate to them, because like, we live in houses like day to day all the time, so it would make like a real connection with the audience. We found it quite easy for locations because Alex has quite a big house. It's quite an old house as well, so it's quite creaky and eerie and stuff. And also he lives right next to church, so from filming between locations we were quite easily able to like do it within the day. Like we'd film in the graveyard and then we'd go to his house. Like it was quite easy, and the graveyard's quite big and old as well, so that helped quite a lot. And the only thing is, because Alex lives quite far away in like a little village kind of thing, even though it was easy to shoot between the locations, like the graveyard and then his house, it was quite hard for, like, if we needed to reshoot on different days, we found it hard to like get there, and sometimes obviously the weather would play its part and we wouldn't be able to shoot. But yeah, that was the only problem with the location that we had. But it created a good sense of isolation because it was a village, it was quiet, and there was like no cars going past or anything, so that was good. The characters we chose was Becky. She was the female, she was the villain, and she was a demon. We chose her because she was young. It contrasts with the expected role of a male being the victim, and we wanted to change it up a bit. We gave her a Victorian-looking long white dress. Which was showed the era, like when she died, and to show that it's been quite a long time since she's died, so this has been brewing for like quite a while. Yeah, and Alex's is a suit, so it shows he's sophisticated, middle class. We wanted to show that he has a good job, money, he has power, he has a big house, but then gets contrasted with the fact that she comes along, and even though he has a big house and all his money and everything, it like kind of gets taken. Anyway, so also the fact that he's wearing a suit in our opening scene when he goes up to the grave and he goes and has a look and like has a little bit of a cry. It shows that he's wearing a suit, so he like respects her, and obviously they were close, so it could have been family, it could have been his wife. But you don't know at the start until you see her, and you see she's quite a young woman. And it shows that Alex is quite vulnerable, like he's upset, he has emotional attachment to the person. Also he's on his own, so isolation plays its part. And yeah. The makeup we wanted for Becky would be quite dark around eyes, like have a demon kind of effect. We wanted her to be quite pale, to like show death and all that. And her hair was like across her face, so that we couldn't really see her. She didn't have an identity. We didn't know her name, her identity, anything. So it's quite mysterious. Alex, we wanted him quite clean cut, like shaven. We wanted his hair up, styled, nice. Obviously the suit, it just all goes together. And yeah, so we're pretty happy with the how the costumes and the makeup turned out. We researched into sounds and horror films. What sounds they use in horror films usually, and we found that most of them have like a hit point. So when like in quite jumpy films, when we see the villain, usually there's like a boom, like a noise when they come up, like a build up of noise, like non-diegetic music, and then there's a big hit point, which makes people jump. So we wanted to put a few of those in our film, and we managed to, and this was quite effective. We also have like a little eerie kind of jingle while Becky is walking down the corridor, and this is shown in quite a few of the films that we watched of non-diegetic sounds of music. We did use some diegetic sound, such as the music box when that's playing. When Alex is walking through the house when he first enters, there's like a music box, quite eerie. I chose a music box because it like shows her how young she is, Becky, but obviously the music box is hers and she's playing it while Alex has come in. And it's quite creepy, and like, because you don't know what's going to happen, what's going on, and that's why we chose a music box. It's old-fashioned and it builds up tension. Our title for our film, we chose to do it in like a red, like a deep kind of red colour, showing like danger, blood, and that's why we chose red. The font, we had difficulty finding the font that we actually chose. We actually chose a font where it looks like a child has written it, like really creepy and weird, but that wasn't on our Final Cut program that we were using to edit and put the fonts on. So we did manage to find a different font, which did replace it, and it was actually more readable, so it was kind of good that we had to change it, but it was disappointing that we had to change it because we thought the font before was quite nice, and it linked in with the film better, but just happened. To choose our title, we wanted to look at like paranormal films, like what they use, obviously The Ring, sort of short and snappy, like The Ring, it catches your eye, like and you hear it, it's like, ooh, what's that like? So we wanted a short little one which said creepy and weird. So we went down, obviously looked at paranormal films, and then we looked at angels. Like, you always see angels as like a holy, like nice, pretty protective kind of thing. And we wanted to switch it. So we used the word angels, but we twisted, because Becky is not an angel, she's a demon, the opposite of demons, like angels and good spirits and stuff. So Twisted Angels was the name that we came up with. We thought this was quite a good name, and it like represents our film quite well. It like tells a little bit of the story, that there's going to be a demon, it's like all a bit twisted, it's like a bit creepy, not, things aren't what they seem. So we sent out a few questionnaires to see like what people think, like whether we should have like what settings and locations. So I mean, graveyards are quite creepy, they're quite obvious of where to like shoot. So that's why we chose a graveyard, because most people would say that graveyards are creepy. And obviously a big house, show isolation, death, and with the graveyards, death, and yeah, so that's why we chose those. The camera work, it's taught me quite a lot. This whole media project has taught me quite a lot of how to use a camera and like what shot to use, why to use it. So we use quite a lot of tilted angle shots when Becky's walking along the corridor. This is like to show off balance, like confusion, like creepy, just all of this. It's like all the camera work has taught me how time consuming as well filming is, like how organised you have to be. Like how to try out different things. You might just get there on the day, like we did. We got there on the day and we thought of all different things to use, like how to use it, like the tilted angles, camera, where the camera should be at certain points, like if we should do close-ups, far away, establishing shots, and everything. It was just, it was really interesting. I was filming most of it, and I found the difficulty in I seem to cut the camera quite quickly, like from scenes. Like if when Alex was walking through the gate, I cut it really early on, and when we tried to edit it together, it just didn't work because it just looked like he'd jumped from one place to another. So we had to refilm that a few times, and just other things, just and also it's taught me how to like build tension, like when to have Becky come into the frame and when to not, like whether it's too early or too late to have her, like because you want to build up tension but you don't want to build it up so much like that people get bored of waiting. So yeah, so it's taught me quite a lot, and yes, we can't, also it's taught me like not to move anything. Like if you're shooting one scene and then you pause to like shoot again, exactly the same, like carry on the scene, like make sure that everything is exact, like not to move anything, not to touch anything. If something's there, then, and you don't want it to be there but you shot it in the previous one, you have to go back, move it, and then shoot it all again, otherwise it'll be obvious and people will see it and it won't be realistic enough, and then people won't be scared of it because they'll be like, oh, and they'll see the mistakes. So you have to be very, very careful not to move anything while filming. That's one of the big things that's taught me. Editing has taught me like the difficulties in, like I just said, like we had a shot of Alex and then we paused it, and then we shot it again to carry on. And Alex had moved slightly a little bit so that when we went to edit it together, it just jumped slightly, and it didn't look good, so we couldn't have it in there. We were going to go back and reshoot it, but we didn't. We ran out of time. That's another thing. Timekeeping is quite a big thing while filming. But yeah, that was quite difficult. Also, when we put text onto our film, we found it quite difficult to like get the right text, where to place it, like what looked best. Quite a lot of things about editing, all the filters, we had to try them all out, see what filters we wanted. But we managed to do it. We just came together as a group and just like sat down and looked through them all and did it. And I think it's turned out quite well, with all the text over the top and the sounds. And I think we built up tension quite well with the music and everything. That was quite difficult getting the right music, but we managed to, and it's really good. So yeah. So that's the end of question one.